the show.
Bueno, mi gente, estamos aquí hoy sábado de alegría.
What time is it? Mi gente, hoy miércoles Torres Café, tenemos un menú de show, pollo guisado, carne de cerdo guisada. Torres Café en la casa, mi gente, Washington and High Street, Philadelphia, New Jersey, donde se vende la mejor comida puertorriqueña, mi gente, de show.
My name is Olga Lugo, and I am the mother of Carlos.
My name is Carlos Rodriguez, and I am a business owner. I was born May 9th, 1979, in the most beautiful island in the world, Puerto Rico.
He was a gift from God on Mother's Day. Your firstborn baby on Mother's Day, that was a big gift for me. It was rough being a single mother. It was my first child. I was going through a situation that my father had a stroke. It happened almost at the same time that I was giving birth to my son. So it was kind of hard for me, but we made it through. Well, he was very energetic. Carlos, at the age of 12, he was already working and making money to help us at the house.
I wasn't much into sports. I was taken to church a lot. At my early ages, I was probably like looking into like preaching, like a young kid, you know. I love volleyball, played volleyball a lot in Puerto Rico, and working, always worked.
Carlos got into sales, I'm pretty sure he was about, maybe 12 years old, a little bit younger.
How I got into sales was my godmother. Back in the days in Puerto Rico, you used to set up tables like almost like a flea market, but it would be set up in the downtown area. People would go shopping there and buy watches. I mean, they sold everything. She had different products there that she would sell. I would go after school and help her. I would be taking care of customers, watched her, learned from her how she dealt with customers. I started applying some of the tactics that she used dealing with customers. At one point, she introduced what was, at the time, the gift wrapping of paper sales. She would buy like a big bundle of gift wrapping, and we would actually measure it, cut it, and create 3 yards worth of wrapping paper. And we had different styles, different colors. We put them in a box, and I would go out and sell them in front of different stores. So depending on the season, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas, and all the holidays that people would go and buy gifts, I would sit outside of the establishment, and I would sell gift wrapping paper, 3 yards for $1. At the time, I wasn't the only one to this. There was other people doing it, but it was in the beginning of it when it all started. So I would sell it for $1, 3 yards for $1, and I would get a quarter out of each dollar.
I always knew that he was going to be a businessman. He showed me from the time he was very young that he was going to be a very successful person in life. I was very proud of him, yes.
I was very successful as a young kid. I mean, you're 11, 12 years old, and you go from selling for your family to now buying enough product to now start selling for your own. So I was able to get gift wrapping paper and create my own pile. By the time I was able to accomplish that, we ended up moving here to New Jersey from Puerto Rico, and that kind of ended that part of the journey in reference to selling gift wrapping paper. My earliest childhood memory would be hanging out with my grandmother in the kitchen. She used to love to cook, and we lived in Stockton Building in Perth Amboy at the time. Well, she did. My father would take me there so she could take care of me, and I spent a lot of time in the kitchen with her. She used to make these eggs boiled, but not fully boiled, so they were kind of like halfway done, creamy, whatnot. I used to enjoy hanging out with her. I would probably say that was the first thing that came into my head. But then I moved to Perth Amboy, and after acclimating to the new lifestyle, I began to work for a landscaping company.
He was always into something. He used to do constructions,
I worked at a pet shop on Smith Street. Yeah, I remember that. I worked at a pet shop on Smith Street. I worked for Rex Jeans. It was a supermarket. I worked for Pizza Hut. I worked for Casa Verde as a busboy. On the weekends, I also learned I was working for a dry flower arrangement company. So we would make a lot of wreaths and dry flower arrangements.
He kept it up. He never stopped.
I met Lisbeth in 1995. She had moved from Perth Amboy High School. We were going to Sayreville High School. It was crazy.
My name is Lisbeth Valentin Rodriguez, and I am married to Carlos. I was born July 28 in Aguadilla, Puerto Rico. I met Carlos in 1995 in Cerville High School. We were introduced by someone, a friend of his, that I had met in high school first.
We were walking down the stairs. He was like, oh, he's from Amboy too. And she was like, oh yeah, really? And I was like, yeah. Hi. She's like, hi. And that was it.
We had an outing to, I will date us as back to Hunka Bunka.
They had teen night. I went with a bunch of friends. There was a girl that was in one of my classes, and she was friends with Liz. I kind of told her that I was like feeling Lizbeth. Liz was there, the other girl, and my friend that was dating Liz at the time. But I guess they had broken up already, so there must have been some like type of tension between them. So I used to be a dancer, you know what I mean? And for some reason, I started dancing with Liz. But anyways, we were dancing and we were having a nice time. And then I guess I continued going, doing my thing, doing my break dancing. I'm out, and I come back and I see my friend and her having some type of disagreement. So I kind of like, hey, yo, what's up, chill out, you know, it's all good, you know, kind of break it up a little bit, like, you know, give him some space.
And I had a little situation with someone, and he was my knight in shining armor that night. Even still, like, it wasn't like, you know, an immediate spark, at least it wasn't for me. I think that was the night he says I caught his eye.
Shortly after, I told her friend in school what, you know, we had talked about what happened, the incident at the club.
You know, the next day we came back to school. He asked a friend of mine for my phone number, and that's how it all got started.
Oh my God, it was like two babies together. You know, they were very young.
Life changed forever, for the best.
You know, Carlos was always a lot of fun. He was into dancing, so going to parties with him was always, I was so proud, you know, the proud girlfriend of the guy who could dance. But yeah, it was a lot of fun during high school. We had good times.
I didn't mind, never. I was very happy with her. She's like a daughter to me, you know, she really is.
We started so young that I think we did a lot of growing up together. We were very serious from the start.
She graduated high school, I graduated high school. We stayed together.
Things moved pretty quickly. I mean, by the time we were 19 and 20, we already had our first apartment.
And we moved in together, and we were together for a while until she got pregnant.
That was in 2001, and that was Jacob.
My name is Jacob Rodriguez, and my relationship is, I'm his son.
Oh, I felt very old, but I was happy. I was really happy. At that time, I couldn't have no more kids. So having another child in the family, a grandson, of course, I felt great.
It was good, honestly, all the time. I grew up supported everything I wanted to do. Got to play a lot of sports, a lot of video games. You know, pretty much everything I ever needed was always there for me. And I reciprocated that when it came to my schooling. Although there were bumps in the road, I always stuck the path.
Having our first child definitely changed our relationship. The responsibility with having a child at a young age is a lot.
I was struggling trying to find myself. We were definitely having financial issues. One of the reasons too that I took the law enforcement test at the time was because I was looking for more stability for my family. Where did my ambition take me? That's a tough one. After high school, maybe I took a dip in the sense of like that energy that I had as a young kid. But at some point, early 20s, I decided to take the law enforcement exam, and I became a police officer for the city of Perth Amboy in 2003.
Carlos' story about becoming a police officer is pretty funny. At least to me, it's pretty funny.
My grandfather used to say to me, "You're gonna be a cop one day," and he would, you know, brag about that.
Because obviously, you know, being young and making certain mistakes, you know, you have a certain feeling about law enforcement. And for a little bit he had, what I would guess it's, you know, normal feelings for young people who don't like to be in trouble. And I'm not talking about serious trouble, obviously, you know, getting a ticket here and getting a ticket there.
It was after the 9/11 incident that we had in New York. And then after that, I was like, oh, you know what? I might want to be a police officer. I think it was, you know, something that little by little was instilled by different family members. It's just, I'll take the test and they call me. You know, we'll see what happens.
He did well on it. Initially, he was called.
The Department of Corrections sent a letter, you're ready to come in for an interview.
And he knew that that was not the path he wanted.
I replied I didn't want to, and at the same week, we got a letter from Perth Amboy saying, you know, if you're still interested, come in. So I went in and went through the whole hiring process, and before you know it, I was in the police academy. I was gone for like 5 months, and then I became a police officer, 2003, Patrolman Rodriguez.
Kind of scary. It's not easy for a mother to know that your kids is out there in the streets and that one day you might get a call, you know. So that was rough for me. And I was in Florida at the time, so I always, you know, pray to God that nothing ever happened to him.
Carlos being a police officer was always a positive thing for the family.
So I guess I always grew up with it, which I would say, you know, I was very supportive, very proud actually.
You know, obviously it brought stability for our family. It gave him purpose. He was very successful in his career.
Anytime I could flaunt when I was younger, tell to the other kids about my dad being a cop, I would. You know, it was always cool. My dad would come to the bus stop in the mornings. You know, he was a detective, so he was in plain clothes with his gun, and all the kids were, oh, he has a gun. But, you know, it was always cool to have that, and it also felt safe.
I was a patrolman for like a year and a half, and then I became a detective.
Obviously, with everything comes negativity, right? Comes, you know, negative things that impact one way or another, but for the most part, it was always positive. Javian is our second son. He was born June 14, 2006. He was born in Edison.
My name is Javian Rodriguez, and Carlos is my dad.
I was older when he was born, and he changed me. Something happened. I remember taking life a lot more serious at the time. The lifestyle, being young, you kind of like, I felt it. It was like a switch turned on. I don't know. Maybe my frontal lobe was fully developed. I don't know. But when Javian came around, it all changed for me as a father and as a man.
I was excited. I remember that actually. To have someone that I was going to be able to grow up with and not be alone anymore was nice. It was nice. I remember being as a kid excited for that.
I don't know that it necessarily made like a big change in our relationship. We both definitely thought it was time to complete our family because he was our last. He was enough.
When she had the second son, I felt really good because now I was more a part of Javian's life. You know, I came, I spent time with him, I stood in their house, and I got to really experience Javian more than I had experienced Jacob. So yes, I was proud. I was happy.
My childhood was pretty good. You know, I have great parents, great family surrounding me, helped me build, you know, as a person, and I just had a good childhood.
Our relationship is very unique in itself, you know. The way we love each other can be sometimes aggressive. At the end of the day, you know, we're very close. He knows I got him, and I know he got me.
My relationship evolved with my dad. It flourished as every other kind of, I guess, relationship a kid has with their dad. It's always been great. You know, he's taught me a lot. Once I was actually able to understand that my dad was a police officer, probably at like age 4 or 5. It's the coolest thing in the world. I mean, having your dad as a police officer is always cool, especially like when you can brag about it to your friends.
The kids got older, and I was missing a lot of playtime, football, games, a lot of sports. I missed a lot because of the schedule. No, I come home and I find Jacob crying in his room. I said, what's up? And he's like, you know, I'm just tired of being the one kid that doesn't have his dad in his events. And that was the day I knew I had to go and tell my supervisor that I was no longer going to be in that unit. I must have done a decent job where they were like, you know, pick where you want to go. And I ended up going to the detective bureau where I had a more stable shift. So I worked days and I could make all the events with the kids. And that was all the way up until 2014, something like that, 15. Just right before I retired.
In 2013, Carlos established a relationship with a company that provided shipping to post offices.
They told me that Amazon was looking for truckers.
So that entailed him purchasing box trucks.
I went and purchased one truck in 2013.
We started off with one truck and then quickly grew to, I don't know, maybe like 15 trucks when the business came to a halt. Let's just say that, to a halt.
I did the police work. I started driving my own trucks, doing the routes myself at night, and then I would, you know, go to work during the day as a police officer. So from 2013 to 2017, I'm doing the truck thing, and I had a yard here with all my trucks, and one Sunday...
That day we were prepping to start a new account.
It was Father's Day. I left here. I said, I gotta go fix the trucks.
One of the trucks had an issue on the roof, I believe.
The roof on the truck, because we had just gotten an account with Wayfair, and that truck was going out to do a furniture run that Monday.
So he went to the yard.
So I get on a ladder, I get on top of the truck, and as I'm done doing the work, fixing the truck up, I start coming down. I was a lot heavier back then. And the ladder gave. It went one way and I fell to the ground. I landed on this arm in my back and I destroyed everything. I mean, this was over here, this was over here. Everything was broken, blood everywhere, bones out. I remember that was probably the most painful day, physical for me.
They called it a triad injury. Like, he literally shattered his whole elbow, but he fractured part of his arm as well. That was pretty devastating, to get a phone call saying that I was literally at the yard maybe half an hour before this happened. I got a call from someone saying they had dropped him off at the hospital and he was injured.
Luckily for me that day, there was a guy washing trucks. He had a truck washing trucks. He heard me screaming, took me to the hospital. And then that's when they did the surgery and life changes forever.
So I showed up to the hospital and all he kept saying was, I messed up. My career is over.
I knew that day that my law enforcement career was over. I knew it, you sense it, and just know, because I needed this arm to be a police officer. So I was out of commission for months. And you know what happens when you're out of commission and you can't take care and you can't be in business, everything goes south. And that's what ended up happening with the trucking business.
And his arm would never be the same. And unfortunately, that caused the ending of his career. He had to retire.
When my dad was injured, I was actually in Puerto Rico. I was on a family vacation, well, not really family, but I went along with my grandfather to Puerto Rico.
So I remember that day, it's the back of my hand.
Originally, the call started, oh, something happened to your father. So, you immediately, like anyone else, you think the worst. Thank God it wasn't like that.
It was not the best, because the only thing I remember my mom telling me was, oh, your dad got hurt and he's going to the hospital. I was in the pool, so
But, it was a little shocking to hear, I wanted to come back so I could be there to support him.
As a kid, I don't know what hurt meant. I don't know if something bad happened, something small happened, so it was not a good feeling.
It was definitely rough, but to be there for him was the most important thing, it's what he needed.
I was totally destroyed. Because being a cop and always looking out for him, and then all of a sudden you get a news, hey, your son fell off the truck, but he's okay. But then a few months later, coming to see him and see that my Carlos was still hurt and in pain, that devastated me. I was really worried, but it's like everything in life. You have to live with it,
How my family dealt with the whole incident. It wasn't just raking, right? They call it a terrible triad. They were and they were suffering. They were probably scared, not knowing what was going to happen, not knowing, whether I was going to continue to be a police officer, which to this day I know my children would rather I still be a cop.
It was definitely a hard adjustment for all of us. One thing about my father is he's resilient. He didn't take any of the meds that was offered to him. It was definitely hard to see him like that. It was definitely stressful for all of us,
I kind of was technically alone because I had to stay at my friend's house. I really didn't have anyone, so they'd bring me to visit my mom, but it was a hard time, definitely.
How did it feel to watch my kids watch me go through my injury? You feel hopeless. You feel like you can't, you're going through it. I couldn't do much but reassure them that things were going to be okay. But it was stressful. I had a lot of anger in me. When I'm walking around with my hand like this, I look like a hermit crab, I swear, it was just like this. And you know that they're watching you and they're looking at their dad. A strong man before, and now he's not the same. I could only imagine what they're going through. They were definitely disappointed because they didn't want me going 100 miles an hour, and I didn't listen to them. So they were really upset at the fact that I didn't listen, and because you didn't listen, now we're here. So it's like, this is frustrating for them, I can only imagine, and I know that they were definitely angry.
Having to let go of that business was very difficult for both of us. Definitely harder on him because it feels like a failure.
This angry at me, disappointed with me, that I took on something that I gave everything to.
We sacrificed a lot of things.
I took out personal loans. I did so much to try to keep that business alive. Remember earlier you asked me where ambition took me? Ambition took me to that day. That day when I looked at my wife and we were in the bedroom and I just hugged her because I didn't know what else to do. We hugged each other and we knew right then and there, we failed at this business and it cost us a lot.
His mind process was really bad.
He was also going through a lot of other emotions, because at this time when the business had to close down, he had already had the accident with his arm. He had to deal with the fact that his career was over. So I think in all fairness, he felt like he was failing at everything at that point in his life.
You being a cop for so many years, you doing this for so many years, supporting your home, and to see yourself in a situation that you actually don't know what's gonna happen. I know that he got over frustrated, and who knows what went through his mind.
Ambition. You gotta be very careful what you ask for in life.
After his injury, he was advised shortly after that obviously the injury was going to end his career and he had to retire. But then we had an opportunity come up that he was actually very excited about, and that was to buy a small cafe in town, one that he visited regularly when he was a police officer, so he was very comfortable. He knew the owners of the establishment very well, and they offered him the opportunity to buy what's known as Torres Cafe in Perth Amboy.
Like I said earlier, I love to eat. I was a little big boy, and I always ate at Torres Cafe, located on Washington and High Street, Perth Amboy. And as a police officer, I would eat there because that was a spot, They had the best empanadas at the time. They still do. But it was a spot to go to. For me, I probably went there 4 times a week. I built a relationship with the owners, Jose and Madeline. Beautiful people, older couple. And they worked very hard. And I used to go there and help them out whenever I could. And just like I built a good relationship with them. Jose would tell me, get out of that trucking business. I should have listened to him too. He told me early on. And get out of that trucking business, Carlos. That's not good. That's not going anywhere. You belong here in this restaurant. And I would just laugh about it because he knew that I loved cooking, and he saw how I was. So I guess he saw through me like, hey, this guy could really run this type of place.
Carlos had, I think, 3 callings in his life. He missed one. One was to be a police officer, and he did that. I always joke around with him that he was meant to be like a radio DJ or, an announcer of some kind. He loves to be on a microphone. And then the third one was, a cook, a chef, or somebody that works in the kitchen because he loves it.
I love my dad's cooking. Knowing my dad's cooking when I get home from work is just one of the best feelings ever because I know it's going to be good.
I think in another life he was a chef, for sure. Back in the days prior to the restaurant, every Monday, Mondays and Tuesdays usually were the nights where we really had family dinner. Tuesdays would be taco nights, and then Mondays he would do something, mostly chicken parm, which he lost that touch, but before he had the meanest chicken parm alive. I loved it. So I've always loved my dad's cooking. It's never been a problem with me.
So my dad is what I can call him. He's a one-hit wonder. So there's some things that he can kill every time he makes them, and then there are some things that he'll make here that he'll never be able to make again. So those meals are the best. The best one I think is when he made this prime rib that he sliced up. He had it in this, I don't want to say gravy sauce, but it kind of resembled gravy sauce. That's the best dish that he's ever made. I've always loved it, and it sucks that he can't remake it. But there's a lot of things that my dad is good at, but that's just definitely my favorite dish.
My favorite dish that he makes is actually a new one. I don't even know what to call it, to be honest with you. He makes the spaghetti, the marinara sauce. It's got beef, but then he puts this I don't even want to say Alfredo because it's not Alfredo, but it looks like Alfredo, and it just comes together amazing. One thing about my dad that everybody should know is my dad can make really good food. Just don't ask him to do it again. He'll take a recipe, you can hand him a recipe. He's gonna put a whole new spin on it, and it's gonna be amazing, but he won't remember how to do it again. Yeah, he is a one-hit wonder.
Well, that's a joke. Yes, I don't cook, so he doesn't get that from me. I clean, I work hard, but the kitchen, not my favorite plate. Yes, I am very proud of him, and he cooks delicious. Arroz con gandules and pernil. And when he does his lechon asado, tastes so good.
During that time, just before Facebook was kind of I think I was dabbling into doing videos, and I started doing videos for him, for his business, advertising it. And he appreciated that. But one day when he heard Carlos was retiring from the police due to the injury, I walked into his restaurant. He says, listen, you're retiring. What are you going to do? And I said, I don't know. He's like, forget about the trucks. And that trucks was already downhill. He knew that I was retiring. He was like, look, I'll sell it to you. And I was like, nah, I don't want to deal with this. So I left. I came home that night, and I'm having dinner with Liz, and I jokingly say to Liz, I think I'm going to buy that place. And she's like, really? I was like, yeah. She's like, what are you going to do? I was like, I don't know. I think I'm going to buy it. So I went back, and he tells me, Carlos, sorry, somebody has an offer. And it was a lady, and he was a man of his word. He told me I gotta wait to see if she comes up with the funds.
The story he tells me, he tells everyone. You know, one day he showed up to Torres Cafe.
I go there one day, Madeline is there. She's like, she looks down and depressed, and I'm like, what's the matter, Madeline? And she's like, oh man, I'm just exhausted with this establishment.
And she said to him, Carlos, why don't you buy this?
So she goes into the kitchen, Jose comes out, he's like, you gonna buy it, yes or no? I said, I don't know. He's like, all right, come here on Sunday and don't come here without your wife. So me and Liz went on Sunday, looked at the numbers, looked at the place, shook hands, I brought him a check, and you know, we bought the place.
It happened rather quickly. I don't think we really thoroughly thought about what we were getting into.
I want to say I was 16 around that time. I was lazy, very lazy. Touching on before how me and my dad would clash heads, that's primarily where it was. It's going from me, a sheltered life, you know, I'm not having to do much, you know, come home, play video games, to knowing that if we did get a business like that, it's all hands on deck, and I lose that and I have to work. And so at the time it was cool. You know, to say we have a restaurant, but the idea of having to like get involved in something like that was new and a little bit scary, and I didn't want to work.
I'm going to put you an example of my grandkids. My grandkids, they were there, you know, they were working, and you know, they're young kids. They don't want to be in a place like this. They didn't ask for that. It was rough because we're a family. We have to help each other out no matter what. We have to help. We have to be a part of it. So in the beginning it was kind of rough, you know. Liz had left her job to come and work for the restaurant. This is new to her. So I know that it was frustrating for her as well. As time going on and realizing, okay, this is our business. We got to make this happen. Everything just started falling into place.
When we decided to buy the restaurant, we agreed with the previous owners that they would stay on board for 30 days, just to kind of teach us the ropes, to train us. Obviously, we have no experience in restaurant. We've never worked in a restaurant business. Everything we know up until so far has been literally on the job training. We've learned it with hard knocks of life.
So it took time to adapt to that, and that also took time away from the home, you know, from the family.
Owning a restaurant is no joke. I mean, it has rocked our family, our marriage in ways that I never thought it was going to.
Well, I don't know if there is, but I know there was a lot of resentment from my kids, even including my wife at the time, because I was not going to fail again in life.
You know, you're running a business and then you're trying to run a marriage. You're trying to raise a family, and all those things cannot be compartmentalized into, you know, different things. Everything just kind of mashes together.
The trucking messed with my head so much that I was determined to give it all up, but I would not fail at this business. And I started with the mindset of, I got this one, I'm gonna get another restaurant now, and I'm gonna get another one. And I'm like, whoa, what is happening? And my wife reels me in and tells me, this is what happened with the trucks. You don't wanna do it again. You say you don't wanna fail, then you can't reduplicate what you did before.
It's been very trying for us. I mean, and I look at us now. We actually just celebrated our 6th year of owning the restaurant. I can say that now with a smile and say, you know, that we've made it this far and it didn't break us. You know, I remember when we first bought the restaurant, we were having a little tit for tat in the morning, you know, and a customer of ours walked in and kind of noticed, and he said, hey, I can see you guys are kind of like, you know, at odds. He said he had owned the business with his wife for 25 years or something like that, and he said, and we didn't make it. So don't let this come between you. You know, you guys have to really find a way to work around it and make it work if you really want to. We've done our very best to make it work and to not let it break us, because it's a really hard business. It really is a hard business.
When I signed the papers, I was excited. I was like, well, I'm here, I'm getting another shot at life.
You know, it was a new venture, a new opportunity to learn things, and exciting for him because it was what he wanted all along. I think he's always kind of wanted like a little restaurant to call his own.
Now they're running this business, the whole family, Jacob, Javian, Liz, Carlos. I've been gone for almost 2 years.
It was new, honestly. So it was for all of us, it was new. I felt proud. I definitely will say that, to have something like that under our name now, something that we can run. It's like our baby, we're going to grow it. Or a plant, we're starting it up. So it was definitely awesome. So I would say that I felt good about it, just not felt good about working. My brother initially was more excited, wanted to be more in there. So he was more with the program than I was. He would happily go in and want to do things, plátanos, do all kinds of stuff. So that's kind of how it impacted both of us. And then I gradually became the opposite.
I was in 6th grade at the time that my dad opened the restaurant. It was so cool going into somewhere where it was like an open kitchen to me, and my dad would help let me cook things, and it was a lot of fun. Me being a little kid and just having that access to just going somewhere and being allowed to be creative and open, and letting my dad me help him cook. It was cool. Telling my friends that my family had a restaurant, it was a really cool thing.
To keep the restaurant open, we took over the business, right? So it already had its own customer base.
I don't find it to have been difficult to stay open.
So we didn't really struggle with that. I mean, we were very careful in not announcing that there was new management or new owners, because we feared that people would say, oh, well, the food's gonna change. We're not gonna go back there.
I think we've gotten to a place where it runs itself pretty much nowadays. I mean, you still need to manage your business, but when you create a system and you work hard for 5 years and you're determined to not make the same mistakes that you've done in the past.
We kept the same name. Obviously, our last name is not Torres.
In the beginning, I wanted to, but it's a brand. It's not about Carlos. It's the brand.
We chose to keep it that way just because we didn't want to take the chance on people backing out because of the fear. It happens to many businesses. They change names. People, I don't want to go back there.
It has a name. It's been there forever. Part of it, when I first bought out, I changed, put Carlitos this and that. But at the end of the day, once you learn and you learn from other people and you see successful people, what they do, just follow suit. And keeping the name to me is very important.
Thankfully, I think it was the best decision we made. We've grown much more than we thought we would have grown.
Like I said, we've reinvented ourselves right after the pandemic. We had to do things different in order to stay open. So I created a mural on the side of the building, which has brought us a lot of customers. I did it during the pandemic. It was a time where people needed, some hope. And it was a thing that was happening in Puerto Rico. They were doing murals of the flag everywhere. People love going there and take a picture. They feel proud. It works. Simple as, we used to have plates and have to constantly be buying plates because they break when they're washing. We don't use plates anymore. Everything is to go. You learn how to do things different. It hasn't stopped sales. When times are tough, you got to figure it out. We started slow. We opened up 6 days a week for many years, right? So Monday through Saturday, and we're always closed on Sunday.
In business, obviously, you learn what times you're going to be busy, what times it's going to be, a slower time, and just adjusting, business needs and business finances and personal and all of that. You have to adjust it to how the business is doing at that time and trying to balance those times where, things are not as fruitful as you'd like.
And we were doing really well. Like I said, I was determined not to fail at this business, so I was doing what I had to do. And we advertised, and I loved cooking, and I would go in at 4 o'clock in the morning, and it was still 8 o'clock at night, I'm still there. There was nights that I slept in the restaurant, believe it or not. Many nights I slept in the restaurant because I was trying to grow the business, so I wanted to do more, and I didn't have the funds to pay employees, so I was doing a lot of the work myself. So it was easier just to spend the night there, and then, in the morning I come. But the pandemic came.
The pandemic did affect the restaurant. We were closed
for a month and a half, I think.
And then after that, even when we reopened, people were scared to come out. People were scared to eat from restaurants. Obviously it was such an uncertain time that it definitely put a damper on our business for a little while. So definitely the change after all of that was very welcome.
And that was tough. It was tough, even though there was a lot of assistance, from the government. But at the time, you had to wait to get the assistance. So, But the good thing is there was nowhere to go. You couldn't do anything, so there was nowhere to spend money.
To be very honest, I thank you, Lord. I came down for the pandemic. That was the time I came down. He was very blessed. A lot of restaurants wasn't opening up. A lot of restaurants did half a day. And Carlos' restaurant kept them going.
The one thing I do know is that even though it got really rough and I felt horrible for my employees because they lost their jobs. And it wasn't until afterwards that they would get assistance and whatnot. As much as it hurt us, it gave us a new way to do things. It taught me that I can do more with less when I came back around. Once the world came back up, we learned a lot.
The moment the restaurant received the most recognition, I believe, was around the time of the pandemic. We had decided to redo the restaurant, to renovate it, change it, just make it a little more modern. We also did a mural, and that was recognized by the city, and it was also featured on one of the news outlets. It was recognized, and obviously social media, and we had a lot of new people come through. I mean, everybody, I think during that time, it was such a dark time. Everybody was trying to come out of that fear and trying to leave their homes and find something to do, and it was a very positive thing for us. Not the pandemic, but we did. It was very positive, and I mean, people were so genuinely happy to come and see. We tried to bring a lot of the Puerto Rican culture into the restaurant, the colors, just, the happy Caribbean vibes. So that definitely was a changing point for us.
Sometimes you got to slow down, right? And it's true. Now I get it. Now I get the whole slowing down thing. It's like sometimes, like when you go on the internet and you're on a YouTube video, and you're trying to make it go faster, but the thing's just spinning, right? That's what happened to me. So when this thing started spinning during the pandemic, which was slowed down, we had to close, and we had to reopen, I was like, wait, we're going to do things different.
I knew it was going to be difficult, and it's still difficult. You just live one day at a time. It's never going to be easy, because when things get easy, Carlos comes up with another idea. Yeah, I knew it was going to be difficult. Yes, it was.
All businesses go through ups and downs, but thankfully, it's never been bad enough. So we're blessed.
When I purchased the restaurant was a small little gem. It's still small, but the menu was kind of very basic. It was arroz con gandules, arroz blanco. There was one bean for the day. There was maybe 2 different meats, like beef, steak, and pork. Simple. And una sopita, soup. La sopa de jamón y salchichón. And their thing was the empanadas. Empanadas, alcapurria, relleno de papa, potato balls, sorullitos, but mostly that. And then breakfast sandwiches, bacon and cheese, ham and cheese, and that kind of stuff. And drinks. That was it. Very small menu.
The one product that we probably pushed more than anything when we purchased it were the empanadas. Because that was already kind of like, we'll call it the hook. It's why people were coming to the restaurant. So we definitely focused on making that grow.
What I was first serving then at the time, then what I started doing is I added more variety of what was already in place. We just expanded the options. We started, mofongos. We added different types of empanadas. We started doing bacalaitos.
Our menu is probably more than twice, as big as it was when we first got it.
It was a small steam table that was there when I purchased a place, and then we put a huge steam table. So we expanded, we doubled the amount of steam tables so we can add more food. Now we have an extensive menu, but at the time, we just added more to what was already happening. Like we did the pinchos, the shish kebabs. They didn't sell shish kebabs, I started roasting pigs, doing the whole pigs roasting, and we started emphasizing on catering and building our catering options.
A couple different varieties that they didn't offer before.
Torres Cafe is a staple in Perth Amboy, and it's known for its empanadas. All different types. We have ham and cheese, beef, pizza, chicken, cheesesteak, buffalo, shrimp, crab. We have a variety of empanadas and alcapurrias. Alcapurrias, freshly made. When we first started, we didn't sell a lot of them, but now we're selling a lot of that. So that's on that end. And then the rest of the stuff is just, your pernil arroz con gandules, con pasteles.
It's, to be honest with you, everything is good. The sancocho is good. The vianda with the bacalao is good. The sopa of salchichón, el arroz con gandules, el pollo al horno. I mean, la yuca. Oh, I think everything is just so good. That's why a lot of people go there and buy food, because they like that Puerto Rican dish. And they do caterings too, so that's even better. I don't think there's nothing that they do there that I don't eat. Oh, seafood. I don't eat seafood. But I heard that his pulpo salad and all that stuff is good, but I can't eat it. That's the only thing.
Our business right now is definitely in a really good place.
My business is at I would say like a healthy place. Like, can it grow a little bit more? Probably. I would probably say, every business can always grow.
We're stable. We definitely have a stable customer base.
We found out about it online. We moved to the area from Jersey City, so you try to pick up your own food spots. What's a good pizza spot? But of course, we got to find the Puerto Rican food. We found out about Torres online, and we came to try it. We tried the food once, and we just kept coming back, and it just gets better every time.
I grew up in Perth Fanboy. I've been here since I was a teenager, and so I've been coming here for a lot of years with the previous owner, a lot of years. So it's one of my favorite places. Probably come here every month. We switch around, but this is the last Puerto Rican restaurant in Perth Fanboy. And I love the food here. Got no complaints.
Yeah, we come here a lot, me and my brother, we have a few restaurants that we visit, and this is like our favorite, I've been here for many years, even from the previous owner, but now it's just, the good food's still here.
I've been coming here for maybe 4 or 5 years now.
When I was young, I was pretty young, and my mom and dad took me here one time. I just started loving the food a lot, so I just came here over and over again.
I like everything, bro, but my favorite, I would say, arroz, habichuela y chuleta frita, arroz y el pollo, lo mejor.
Arroz con gandula en pernil or the carne frita, and the empanadas are every time.
Probably the empanadas, the chicken empanadas.
I like them all. I'm about to eat sancocho. It's amazing. Guajitos, guineos, con bacalao guisado. I like it all. Rice and beans, everything. I switch around.
The tripleta, the sandwich.
Right after church, I come here getting empanadas, and they got pincho and dos pincho.
Sometimes we have times where we come every weekend, whenever they put a special up, and sometimes we go a while without coming. At some point, the craving's gonna hit, and we're gonna want to come on a Saturday to get the empanadas, to get this, that, the third. Or if we have all the family in the house, everyone's gonna want Torres, and we come make a big old order, and everyone eats.
Torres, they've been sponsoring us for the last 3 years. We won 2 championships of the 3 years that they sponsored us. But we always come here as a team and we get food afterwards. And we play softball, They sponsor our softball team. Torres Cafe.
I highly recommend this place. Top-notch place.
And we try to bring a lot of new customers.
Man, I just was hungry and thirsty. That's it.
My dad saw them on the internet, and we came all the way over here to New Jersey, and we love the food.
I don't know, just my first time trying it. It's really good.
It was delicious. I love the empanadas and alcapurria.
Rice and beans and pernil.
Pachadis. Any Spanish restaurant I go to, I always get pachadis. So good.
Am I content with the results right now? I'm happy with them. There's always room for growth, and there's many avenues that we can go to make it grow in a different direction.
We always keep pushing, social media for us is a big thing. Carlos pushes social media like no one else does. He loves to engage people. He loves, to bring people, and he is the face of Torres Cafe. So believe it or not, a lot of people come looking for him when he pushes the social media, does the videos and promotes new things. He loves to try new things.
And I would say it's in a very healthy place.
Oh, definitely. It has worked out for him. He's happy. He loves what he does. He loves to feed people when they're hungry. It's hard. It's not easy, but he's happy.
How do I feel about my progression in life? You asked me like 3 years ago, I would tell you, I'm not happy at all. I would say that I've come to learn and matured enough that I've done well. I've accomplished a lot through good and bad experiences. I feel like I've done well. I'm happy. I don't want to say content, but with everything that I've done and still be where I am today, I've done okay. I'm not going to stop growing. I've done a lot of different things. I mean, like I said, I've had all these different types of jobs, different work experiences. I've created different relationships with different people, network. I've traveled so much. Once you expand your horizon, then you start to look at life different. And I'm blessed. That's kind of like what I would say.
Our life has definitely progressed and changed. If I go back to when we first started, the first 3 or 4 years were some of the hardest years that we've endured, from the sacrifices of working 14, 16-hour days, Carlos sleeping on the restaurant floor, because we had caterings or, you know, it was the holiday season and he had to take care of all those orders because at that time he was the main cook of the restaurant. You know, the sacrifices you make as a family. We wouldn't see our kids. You know, we would come home and they'd be sleeping, you know, and we'd be getting up at 5, 6 o'clock to go to work and they're getting ready to go to school and missing a lot of those things to run the business, you know, to provide for them, to now being able to be, you know, more present in their lives. Yes, they're a little bit older, but I think they definitely appreciate that our time is more now and it's a lot more quality time. It's definitely changed for the better. We've learned to work the business better so that it also works for us instead of us working for the business.
Am I proud? Yes, of course. At the time that he was a cop and he got hurt, he felt like the world just turned over him. Okay, what am I going to do now? I'm the man of the house. How are we going to do this? Getting the restaurant was still kind of, you know, scary because we never did this. You know, we're new at this. Knowing that the business has built this house, you know, they're living comfortable. They're not struggling. Yes, I'm proud. I'm proud. Very, very proud of him.
I'm very proud of myself. Absolutely. I'm proud of where I started, selling gift wrapping paper for 25 cents on the dollar to where we are today. I'm proud that I've been able to make my family proud. I think that's even the more important picture for me.
I'm very proud of Carlos. He has overcome obstacles that me personally, I think would have broken me. And to see him be the person that he is, he's always pushing to do better. He always wants more. He never wants to settle for what he has. And I don't mean that in a negative way at all. You know, some people are happy with where they are and he's happy where he is, but he just always wants to do so much more. I don't think that, you know, that I could be any more prouder, but I mean, tomorrow's another day. So, you know, he's great.
I am very proud of who my dad is. My dad is a role model. I think not just for me, but for many. I've heard it. You know, when my dad's very well known. People see my dad, it's nothing but pure respect and admiration. To see that quality is something to aspire to. My dad's been through a lot, all of his life. It hasn't been easy for him. So to see who he has become after so many problems, how he can persevere and push through it, yeah, I'm very proud of him. He's a great man, someone everyone should aspire to be.
Am I proud of who my dad is? Absolutely. I wouldn't wish for anybody else to be my dad. You know, my dad is just, to me, he's perfect. My dad is, you know, he's super smart. He's super sophisticated. He tries his best to, like, teach us. Like, there's so many times where he takes things and puts them into lesson, which at the time thinking, oh my God, why is this a lesson? Why are you telling me this? But then right in the future, it comes back and it helps me. You know, he's just, there's so many aspects I can talk about, but then this thing would be like 3 hours long.
Am I proud of the business I built for my family? Absolutely. I didn't think in the beginning that it would be where it's at. I am actually, I didn't see it. I'm excited and I'm proud of it. And it grew bigger than I thought it would at the time. Now I see it and I know that there's still room for growth and there's other projects that we would like to venture off into, but it's not the time for it. Yeah, I would say so. It's pretty cool to own Torres Cafe.
I am very proud of the business that we've built for our family. We took this little establishment and have turned it into a real staple in our town. You know, we have people that come from all over the place that sometimes we're like, oh my God, you heard of our little place from where you are and you came here just for this? I don't think there's a lot of places that can say that. At least not, you know, are as little as we are, because we're not this chain, right? We're not a franchise. This is a small mom and pop place and we have grown it to where it's at. I mean, it's more than I thought we would ever accomplish.
It's become a staple in Pretambo. You know, it was before, but not to the level that my family has brought it to. Not with any ego or anything, of course, but we're well known across the board. We've had people come 2 hours from Pennsylvania, 3-4 hours from Connecticut, Maryland, Delaware. We're well known. Our TikTok has collected millions of views. We get articles, news reporters coming in. We built it up. So I'm very proud of it. It's something that can't be done all the time. and to be one of the only Puerto Rican restaurants in the state, and then to serve the quality that we do, it's amazing, and I'm very proud of it. I have a lot of pride in it.
My relationship with Carlos, it's special. It's different. My relationship with Carlos is a relationship that I wish every mother would have with their kids. I have a beautiful relationship with him. Carlos is the type of son that he's not selfish. He says, oh, I'm going out to eat, let's call mommy. He always wants me to be a part of him. Or if they're doing an activity like going to the wineries, let's take mommy. You know, he's always counting me in his activities. That makes me feel good because I know that he appreciates the mom he has. And lately we've been getting more closer than ever before. I guess because we're getting older, or I'm getting older, I don't know. And you have that fear of maybe because I'm getting older, you know, mom is not gonna be there one day. Our communication gotten stronger.
I'm really proud of myself. That's a really complicated question for me. I think that in life, some of us don't figure out what exactly is our dream or what we're supposed to do with our life. But I mean, I am proud, you know, of the mother that I am. I am proud of the wife that I am, the daughter, the sister. So overall, yes, in life I am proud of myself. But I think as, you know, with individually, I think we all have areas that we feel we could have done better at.
For anyone that sees this documentary, life is full of a lot of opportunities, and if you know one thing that gets you to become successful, it's not what you do, it's how you do what you do when you're doing it. So with that being said, if you fall, get back up. Be careful with ambition. Always make educated decisions. So listen to the right people. Listen to your family, your loved ones. Don't ever give up. Dreaming, you can always accomplish anything you put your heart out to. So.
Oh, definitely. I'm proud of Carlos of being the husband he is, the father he is, and the son he is. I don't have no doubt of the son that I got on Mother's Day.
You did great.
Thank you. Please don't bother me no more.
I don't know if you want to do the show.
No, the show.
Like an outro for us or anything? Or?
De show, mi gente.